Hey everyone, so I am doing this quick pruning video for you guys. This here is one of my cherry tomatoes and it desperately needs some pruning. So basically when you are pruning your tomatoes, you're going to trim off all of the bottom stems up to the point where it begins to Y. So if you see right here, it begins to branch off. This is the main growing stem right here. Okay, it begins to branch off into another main growing stem. So this, once upon a time, was a sucker. Now, a sucker, this right here, I don't know if you guys can see it. This is a sucker here, and then this is a sucker right here. Okay, so this is a sucker grows in the joint between the main growing stem and a branch, okay, a leaf. So this here will grow into another main growing stem. All right, here's a closer look. So, like I said, this is the main growing stem here, okay? You see all the way down, there's one single growing stem until you get up to right here. All right, then it begins to Y, and then you have two growing stems. So this growing stem here was the main growing stem, and this once upon a time was a sucker. Now this sucker got so big that it became another main growing stem. And that is what happens when you let suckers get too big. They become growing stems, and then they produce flowers, which produce more fruit if you let them, okay? So, I like to do a double growing stem on my tomatoes. I don't like to do any more than two. So I do a double growing stem. I let my tomatoes get up to the point where there's a Y. And then from the Y down, I trim all of those leaves off, okay? Now from the Y down is gonna be completely bare, and I don't want anything growing below the Y. Now what that is gonna do is that's gonna prevent, for one, it's gonna prevent disease and pests from getting to my tomato leaves, okay? And then it is also going to give my plants adequate airflow, because I don't want to get things like blight or you know, the splash that gets up on your leaves or whatever from the soil. That's bacteria, and that can cause diseases on your tomatoes. So this is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to get these tomatoes pruned up, and I'm going to keep it, like I said, at a double growing stem. All right, and then from here on out, in between the joints, I have to keep an eye on that, because in between there, more suckers will grow. Okay, so let me show you an example. This is a sucker. This right here is a sucker, and it'll grow into a main growing stem. So here's my leaf, okay? And then in between the joint of the main growing stem and the leaf is a sucker. Now you always want to pinch those off. So if I was to leave those leaves there, if I was going to leave this leaf here, I would just pinch off that sucker, just like right here. This little bitty guy right here, this is a sucker. All right, let me try to focus a little better. Yeah, right there. See this little guy here? That's a sucker. And if I was going to keep the leaves on, I would pinch that off. Down here is another one you can see. But I'm clearing this whole stem, so I'm not going to worry about pinching off suckers. I'm clearing all these leaves from all the way up to the... I'm clearing all these leaves from the bottom up to the Y. And then from here on out, I will keep an eye out for suckers. So basically I'm just gonna clip everything all the way down. I don't want any of this growth here. I don't want any of it on here. I want my clean growing stem. All right. And I'm just gonna drop these right where they're at, and they will decompose right here in the bed, and they'll be fine. And that is it. That is the gist of pruning your tomatoes. Now, like I said, everything from the Y up, I will let grow, with exception of the suckers that come in between the joints. All right, so these two will be my main growing stems from now on, and I will let those flourish and produce for me. All right, guys, I'm gonna do the rest of these tomatoes and also the tomatoes in my garden, and it's up to you whether you choose to do a double growing stem or a single growing stem. If you want to keep it just one growing stem, then you can cut this other one off. It's completely optional. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you got something out of it. And until next time, the more you know, the more you grow. Bye, guys.